Hello everybody, my name is James dasilvaj, and today I wanted to talk about a concept that I've been developing over the last year or so that I am going to call Debussian sextuplets. But first I wanted to show you the piece of music that inspired this idea. So we're going to listen to a little bit of Claude Debussy's Dr. Gradus Ad Parnassum, the Children's Corner Suite. And there's just a lot of really beautiful cascading runs and lines. So check this out. So as you can tell by listening to that, it's a really beautiful piece of music. And there's a lot of really great information and lines and things in it. And I didn't sit down and transcribe or try to figure anything out. I just listened to it a lot because I loved how it sounded. And I noticed over time there was these lines and these kind of like cascading runs I did on the guitar that I didn't really know where they came from. But so for example, if I was just playing like something, so if I was playing, that's just whatever, kind of a G Dorian thing. But you notice there was something in there when I was playing. And that was kind of where I think that came from, was just by listening to this piece. So I developed a whole concept around that, which is what I want to show you today. Let's first just mention the whole concept is basically a sextuplet, which is just basically 6 notes evenly divided into a single quarter note. And the notes that we're using are root, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 7th root, 9, regardless of what the harmonic quality of the scale is. So let's go through each of the modal qualities for the major scale family and talk about how we can apply those. So let's say, for example, let's start with Ionian. Let's say we had a major 7 chord. So the concept would involve, and just to clarify, the major scale mode is just, the Ionian mode is root, major 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, major 7th, and our octave. Okay? So if we applied this concept to that scale, we would get root, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 7th, octave, 9th, and then back. We put that up the tempo, it would sound like this. Now let's say I had a minor 7th chord. Now, because we're not dealing with the interval of a 6 in this, we can use this next idea over Dorian or Aeolian. Okay? So if we were dealing with a minor 7th chord that was acting as either the 2 chord or the 6 chord in whatever key, this would work fine. So if we were dealing with, so if we're, again, we're using root, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 7th, octave, 9, and back. So we're minor 7th chord. Okay? Did that up to tempo, it sounded like this. Now let's say we had a chord that was implying the tonality of a Phrygian sound. So we had basically, in this case I'm playing like D flat over C, which is giving me the sound of the Phrygian scale, which is root, minor 2nd, minor 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, minor 6th, minor 7th. Okay? If I apply this concept to that scale, I would get this. Root, 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 7th, Now let's talk about if we were playing a, if we had a Lydian chord of some kind. If we had C major 7 with an added sharp 4 or sharp 11, what we would be using the Lydian scale, right? We'd be using root, major 2nd, major 3rd, augmented 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, and major 7th. That would be the scale we'd be operating from. So what we would be doing is we'd be going root, 2nd, 3rd, and we'd be substituting the 5th with the sharp 4, and we'd be going on to the major 7th, major 7th octave, and then the 9, and we'd be going back. Up to tempo, it would sound like this. Now let's talk about a dominant 7th chord. So let's say that we have some kind of C7 chord going on. The scale that would go with that is the Mixolydian mode. So we would have C, D, we'd have root, major 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, minor 7th, root. Okay? So the application of this idea, this is root, major 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 5th, minor 7th, root, major 9. And then we go back. And up to speed, it would sound like this. Lastly, for the major scale modes, let's say that we had something that was evoking the Locrian scale sound. So let's say we had a half diminished chord, C half diminished. The C Locrian scale, which is the mode that corresponds with that chord, is root, minor 2nd, minor 3rd, perfect 4th, diminished 5th, minor 6th, minor 7th, root. Okay, so that's the basis of that scale sound. If we were applying this concept, we'd have root, minor 2nd, minor 3rd, diminished 5th, or I'm sorry, raised 4th rather, minor 7th, root, minor 2nd. And then up to tempo, it would sound like this. C melodic minor, if we were, again, we have root, major 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, major 7th. So if you're applying that concept, it would be root, major 2nd, minor 3rd, perfect 5th, major 7th, root, major 9, and back. And up to speed, it would sound a little bit like this. Let's talk about C Lydian dominant. Now, the C Lydian dominant is referring to like a C 9 sharp 11, C dominant sharp 11 sound of some kind. And the scale that goes with that is the Lydian dominant scale, which is just root, major 2nd, major 3rd, augmented 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, minor 7th. So that's the sound that we're dealing with. If we applied that concept, we would have root, major 2nd, major 3rd, dominant, augmented 4, minor 7th, root, major 9, and then back. And up to tempo, that would sound a little bit like this. Now let's talk about Lydian augmented. Lydian augmented is referring to basically a major 7 chord with a raised 5th image. And it's the 3rd mode of the melodic minor scale family. And the scales were the intervallic composition of that scale is root, major second, major third, augmented fourth, augmented fifth, major sixth, major seventh. Okay, so if we applied that concept to that scale, we would get this. We would get root, major second, major third, augmented fifth, major seventh root, major ninth and back. Up the tempo, it would sound like this. Now that we've talked about the applications of this concept to the major scale modes and the melodic minor modes, let's talk briefly about how we can use them in some of our symmetrical scale shapes, namely the diminished scale and the augmented scale. So let's start with the diminished scale. Let's say that I have C diminished, okay? Now I'm going to use the whole half scale, which is basically take that same pattern that we've been using this whole time, that would give me root second, third, minor third, and that would give me, this is basically a diminished fifth, then I would get a major sixth and a major seventh, and then back to my octave. So it's a little different, it's a little weird, but that's basically. Concept, if I played that up to speed, I would basically get this sound. One of the things I can do with this is, because the diminished scale is based off of the interval of a minor third, all I have to do is find ways to move this, tonally speaking, in minor thirds, and I get some really cool sounds and effects out of this. So, you know, from the root note of C, the tonal centers I have are E flat, G flat, and A. It's really B diminished or B double flat, but we'll just, for the sake of convenience, we'll call it A. And if I take this same principle and I move it in those tonal centers, so E flat, G flat, excuse me, and then B diminished, or A, I can get some really cool effects out of that. Lastly, let's talk about the whole tone scale, or the augmented scale sound we were mentioning earlier. So, what I have basically found is that I can take this, what we talked about earlier, which is basically the C7 sharp 11 sound. And there's a couple different ways I can use that to get the sound of the whole tone scale, or the augmented scale sound. So one of the things I can do is I can take this and move it up and down the whole steps. So I'll show you what I mean. So it gives you a really cool sound of the whole tone scale in just a different kind of way. The main reason why is that in that original C7 sharp 11 concept, all of those notes are part of the C whole tone scale. So the whole C whole tone scale being C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, B flat or A sharp, and then C. So we basically have all of the notes of the whole tone scale except the G sharp. gives us that really cool sound. Here's another thing that we can do. We can take that same cell, that same concept, and move that up in intervals of major thirds, which is what which is what an augmented chord is based off of. So, for example, we take that principal idea, and if we move it up in intervals of thirds, we move it up to E, then we move it up to G sharp, we get this sound. Which is a really cool sound, okay? And so we're outlining the intervals of a C augmented triad. One other thing you can do with that idea is you can move it up in tritones. So C7 sharp 11 arpeggio, for that concept, and if we move that up in tritones, or in other words, we take this from C to F sharp, and then back to C, we've been mostly dealing with these shapes on the A string. We can also use these on the low E string as well. Okay, so all of those different qualities and harmonic situations, we can play those on the low E string. We can play those on starting on the D string. We can even do those starting on the G string. So on and so forth. So that's one thing I would challenge you to do, is try playing that on the different sets of strings and not just being married to that one low string. The other thing I would challenge you to do is to apply all of these concepts to the diatonic cadence of whatever mode you're working from. So for example, if I was playing C major 7, I would want to practice going. You know, and you can do that for the melodic minor scales as well. And try doing this on the different sets of strings. And I guarantee you that'll help your playing a whole lot. The last thing I'm going to do in this video is play over a backing track using the ideas that we've been talking about. So I'm going to be playing over like an impressions backing track, you know, kind of existing in the world of Dorian. And I'm going to be playing how I would probably normally play, but I'm going to be paying special attention to the ideas that we've been talking about, just so you can hear how they sound in an actual live situation. this is helpful to you guys. And once again, please subscribe to my channel, leave comments and suggestions for future videos. This channel is just kind of something I do for fun, and I love sharing things that I've been working on and things that I've discovered. And as always, I'm available for Skype lessons, Zoom lessons. I also teach lessons privately out of my home in Nashville. And so just hit me up. And once again, thank you for watching, and see you next time.